Everybody, welcome to the video. We are back to Nashville for the first time since 2011 when Carl Edwards won in the Xfinity Series, so it's been quite some time. It's now the year 2021, so time does fly by, but we are back for a triple header this weekend at Nashville Super Speedway. This will take place on Sunday, which is also Father's Day, so a quick reminder for anybody that did forget that. On Sunday, June 20th at around 3:30 p.m. Eastern, we have qualifying this weekend. We have practice, which is going to be very useful for NASCAR DFS purposes, considering we haven't been at a track, we haven't been exactly at Nashville in quite some time, and it's a pretty unique track. So it's going to be very, very important this week for building lineups. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you guys are as well, or you probably wouldn't be on this video right now. And if you do find this video helpful in any way possible, or useful, entertaining, whatever you prefer, please leave a like. The more you guys interact with my content, leaving likes, leaving comments, and all that good stuff, going to help me out in the YouTube algo, and the more people that see these videos, the more it helps us all out. We're a big team here, and if you're brand new to the channel, if you're a frequent visitor and you haven't yet done so and you do find this content enjoyable, just hit that subscribe button. Just a free way to help show support to the channel. Hit that notification bell as well so you don't miss out whenever I post new videos or when I go live on race days. If you want to follow me over on social media, you can do so using the handles down below, cpen16 over on IG and Pennell16 over on Twitter. And if you want to join the community, which I personally think is the best NASCAR DFS community out there, link is down below for the Patreon. There's a bunch of extra content on there. I do articles every single week. I do projections. I have these big data sheets, which I do show a preview for you guys, but there's a lot of extra good stuff on there that I use each and every single week. And we've had multiple people take down tournaments this season, so I personally think it's a really good place to check out. Got projections, optimizer, ownership projections, rankings, cheat sheets, data sheets, Discord community, all that fun stuff. Link is down below. And if you don't want the extra content, but you do want to join the community in the Discord, there is a section for that, which is considerably cheaper. So check it out if you want. But I think that's it for the plug. So without further ado, let's dive into the preview of this week's race. And as per usual, I do got to mention a few things before I get into the actual preview here. So a couple things. Number one, the live stream this weekend. Since it's a same-day qualifying event, I'm thinking going live during qualifying is probably going to be the most fun thing to do. Usually those are pretty fun. We've only done it a couple of times, but a couple of times I have done it. We've had a good time. We just sit there, watch how qualifying goes. We do live reactions too, which is a nice play to hang out and watch qualifying. And I'm usually a little bit behind, so you guys get to break the news for me. So I usually do find that pretty entertaining. So I think qualifying is supposed to be at 11 o'clock a.m. on Sunday. So let's just plan for that, 11 a.m. Eastern for the live stream. Be there, be square. And then number two, if you guys want to join the DraftKings contest that I host each and every single week, all you got to do is comment your DK username down below. I will send you an invite, and the first 100-some people that accept that invite, we will run the contest. And I do want to apologize. Last week I made a boo-boo when I was doing the scoring. I made it like 2:40 a.m., so that's probably the reason why. But usually it's a top 3 payout, so it's like $100-some the first, 80-something the second, 50-something the third. I screwed up and paid out the top 20, but I guess it worked out because it's the All-Star race, which was a little bit confusing, so maybe it's good that I made that mistake. But usually it's going to be the top 3, so I will fix that this week. Hopefully I don't make that mistake again, but yeah, if you want to join, it's just a good way to get a shout out on the channel because I do want to shout out the winners, and I'll do that from last week. I'm going to still keep it to the top 10. I'm not going to shout out the first 20 people, but yeah, I'll put the winners on the screen from last week right about now. In first place, and I really feel bad for you because you would have won $100-some. I do apologize for screwing up the scoring this week, but Miami Mike taking home the gold, which unfortunately was only $40 this time. Again, I am very sorry about that, but he took home the gold for the All-Star race. Cleveland 27 came in second. Dutternuts 88, that's a fun name there, coming in third. And then my dad, kind of back on the podium because I messed with the scoring this week. But I guess it worked out very well for him. So early Father's Day gift to him. But came in fourth place there, 276 points. Smoking Guns in fifth. Jay Stone in sixth. Natalie SEV in seventh. Brutus 3 in eighth. UFC Fan in ninth. And rounding out the top 10, we had Spread Attack U18, who is a very frequent visitor of the Discord channel over there. A very interesting character, and we all love you, Spread. So congrats to the top 10 there. And yeah, if you guys want to join the contest, just a fun way for me to interact with you guys, see what kind of lineups you are building and stuff like that. So there's no link. Just comment your DK username down below, say something nice, whatever you want to do, and I will send you that invite. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for the housekeeping. So let's get down into the preview of this week's race. So as previously mentioned, this is at Nashville Super Speedway. This is the Ally 400. And speaking of Ally, Alex Bowman just got news that he had a contract extension. So I'm sure they waited since they're at Ally. So that's just round of applause for Alex Bowman. He's treated us well so far this season, so hats off to you, Alex. I think you definitely deserved it. But there's your outline of the track. It's kind of looks like a 1.5 mile track, but it's not quite a 1.5 mile track, which is going to make things a little bit confusing this week because at 1.5 mile tracks, we run the 550 package. Now we're running the 750. It's a 1.333 miles in length, so it's very unique. It's hard to find similar tracks to it. I would say the track type for this is a shorter intermediate track. It's a concrete surface, and there's going to be some tire wear. I know they ran some tire tests earlier in the season, and they were definitely having some issues with that. So tire conservation is going to be super, super important. So seeing how drivers perform on extended runs in practice this week is definitely going to be something to look at, and how drivers have performed at high tire wear tracks so far this season. Tracks like Homestead, Darlington, and things like that. There's going to be 300 total laps, which means dominator points are going to be pretty important. 210 available to us, so we're definitely going to want to build multi-dominator lineups. With qualifying, we'll have to see where these guys go, because typically when it's done by the lineup formula, we're going to have all the good drivers starting up front. So if there's a bunch of good drivers starting in the back, that can make for some strategy calls there, but we can't really talk about that until we see qualifying on Sunday. So we'll do some live reactions to that during the live stream. We'll just have to see how that goes. But yeah, if you're wondering what the similar tracks and the tracks that I'm looking at try to compare to Nashville, because obviously we have no recent track data to talk about Nashville. I mean, that's way, way gone, and it's just not even anything we can really look at. So the similar tracks I am looking at for the most part, since this is a 750 horsepower race, I would say the most similar 750 horsepower package races that we've had so far this season are going to be Dover and Darlington. Dover is another concrete track. The problem is that's a steeper track, and Nashville is pretty flat for the most part. It's not completely flat, but it is flat. So maybe if you want to throw Phoenix in there as well, I'm not really sure that's the greatest comp, but I'm going to be using some Phoenix numbers because it's also a 750 horsepower track, and it's close to a mile in length. So we're just kind of have to play around a little bit, but I would say Dover and Darlington are probably going to end up being the most comparable to Nashville. Plus Darlington's got a lot of tire wear as well, and I'm also pulling in all the 1.5 mile tracks, but I think the higher tire wear ones will probably play a little bit more of a factor. So tracks like Homestead and Atlanta. So that's kind of where I'm going strategy wise for this race. And like I said, I'm going to want multi-dominators because we're going to have 300 laps, whose dominator points are going to be pretty important. But seeing how drivers have performed in the short track aero package this season and at 1.5s, and specifically Dover and Darlington, I think will be pretty useful for us this weekend. And also practice is going to be pretty telling. Like if we didn't have practice this week, it would definitely be more of a guessing game than it could be, but practice is definitely going to help us out. Because last time we had practice for the Coke 600, pretty much all the cars that were fast in practice were fast during the race. Austin Dillon, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, William Byron. So I feel like we'll end up seeing that once again, which I'm going to be very thankful for, because it reminds me of the years when we had practice and things are a little bit easier to predict. Yeah, like I said, it's going to be a new track here, so it's going to be a fun one, but I think that's it for the preview for the most part. So let's get to the driver-by-driver breakdown portion of this week's race. Alright, so if you're wondering my overall thoughts on the pricing for this week's slate, I think it's pretty solid. Kyle Larson, instead of being kind of right there with the other 10K drivers, I priced them to the moon of around $12,000, and that's what they should have done. Like, they've been making it way too easy to roster Kyle Larson each and every single week. So now at nearly $12,000, over $1,000 expensive than the next driver, Chase Elliott, I think that's perfect, because it actually makes you have to think about rostering Kyle Larson. Like, when he's in the 10K range, it's too easy just to plug him in. It'll be 50+% owned, and then he'll probably smash. So now at $12,000, that should help at least reduce his ownership a little bit. I guess it'll depend on where he starts, but I think DraftKings did a good job of that. Then everybody else, I think, is priced pretty appropriately for the most part. Now, the problem with the driver-by-driver breakdown portion this week is that we don't know the qualifying order, and that's a huge component of NASCAR DFS. Like, we need to know the qualifying order to really make hard decisions here, so I'm just going to kind of have to talk about how they've ran at the certain tracks that I'm looking at this week, and then I can give like based assumptions of where they'd be starting, and if I'd have interest in there, and things like that. Now, I want to mention one thing. I put it on Twitter, but I asked Jeff Gluck in the Athletic Q&A yesterday of what he thought next year's schedule would be like, because I know some people are worried about same-day qualifying, but it sounds like he said NASCAR is going to have a lot of two-day shows. So practice and qualifying on Saturdays, then the race on Sunday for Cup, which is perfect. That's what it was back in the day. He said 3-day shows are probably going to be obsolete, no practices on Friday and things like that, but I'd be more than happy with 2-day shows. Like, I don't mind same-day qualifying because I can go live with you guys and hang out, but it's just a little bit easier to break everything down, a day beforehand than doing everything an hour, 3 hours before lock. It just makes it a bit of a time crunch and a little bit stressful. So we have that to look forward to. Hopefully he is correct, but I know he's very in-depth with NASCAR, so fingers crossed for that. But anyway, we'll start up top with this 10K or an 11K range with Kyle Larson, $11,800. I don't care where Kyle Larson starts. He's definitely got to be the #1 driver this week. He has no weaknesses wherever. He's dominated the 750 horsepower package this season, not quite as much as the 550, but he's still been dominant. Absolutely crushed at Dover. Didn't win that race. Alex Bowman stole one from him, but he definitely was. He was the guy up front for the majority of the race, and it put me to sleep. Like, he was just absolutely dominating. They just had a really good pit stop and ended up working out for Bowman. But Larson's been awesome. He's even dominated and won a road course, so there's nothing he can do. He won the All-Star race with all the tricks and twists they had, so I don't know what's going to be stopping Kyle Larson. Doesn't matter what package he's in. It just seems like his car's got 50 extra horsepower. I don't know if they're cheating. I know he's the most talented driver, and now he's pretty much in the best car. I'm not sure if they found a loophole in the rules to make them faster or whatever, but if he is cheating, I want him on my team. I'm not saying he's cheating, but I don't know what's up with that car. It just is way too fast. It's faster than everybody else, and it's pretty insane, but you just got to hop on board. Looking at similar tracks, this aero package and everything, he's pretty much first in all the green flag speeds and everything, so I see no reason to not want to play Kyle Larson. Looking at his numbers in the 750 package this season, he doesn't have any wins, but 3 top 5s. Truex is kind of stealing all the wins here in the 750 package, but average finish of 6.8, good running position, good driver rating, third most fast laps, third most laps led, only behind the 2 JGR cars and Truex and Denny Hamlin. Those two have been really good in this aero package so far this season, although it feels like lately they've been kind of skidding a little bit, but would not be surprised at all if they can kind of get back on track this weekend. Looking at their actual finishes at similar tracks, so for the similar tracks, I put Dover, Darlington, Atlanta, Phoenix, Homestead. Obviously, I'm looking at all the 1.5s and some other 750 races as well, but I felt like these were the most similar tracks out of those, so these are the 5 that I'm going to be looking at. So he finished second at Dover. Alex Bowman stole one from him. Finished second at Darlington. I'd say those are the 2 most similar tracks we could look at this weekend. Second at Atlanta, a high tower 1.5, and then fourth at Homestead, another high tower 1.5, then seventh in Phoenix. But don't forget, guys, at Phoenix, he pretty much had the best car. He just had to keep going to the rear. I think he was supposed to start first or second in that race, and they just kept sending him to the back. He had penalties, but he just worked his way right through the field each and every single time. So I don't really care about Kyle Larson starts here, guys. He should be a phenomenal play. I could show you guys the numbers at 550 races and just the overall this season, but do you guys really need me to tell you that Kyle Larson's a good NASCAR driver? Probably not. But if you're brand new to NASCAR, first time playing NASCAR DFS, Larson is amazing this year. So if you got the money for him, or if you just want to build around him this week, that is never an issue. I realize when you roster him, it's going to really take a decent chunk out of your lineup, but if he comes out and leads 200 plus laps and win the race, it doesn't matter if he was 17,000. You're going to want him in your lineup. So love Kyle Larson on formats. We will see where he starts. If he starts in the pole, don't care. If he starts dead last, don't care. But I mean, it'd just pretty much be a lock button if that's the case. But yeah, love Kyle Larson. And also, during the live stream, we will have these practice numbers actually posted. So that's going to be nice instead of having these blank, which I pretty much have every single week. So we have that to look forward to. Practice will be on Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Couldn't tell you the TV channel, but we'll figure that out when the time comes. Dropping down to another Hendrick driver, Chase Elliott, $10,700. To be honest, all the Hendrick drivers should probably be top 4 in price each and every single week. The Hendrick drivers, it feels like they're 1 through 4 every single time almost. Usually it's like 1, 2, 3, Bowman, or Larson, Elliott, William Byron, then Bowman's like 4th, 5th, or 6th or something like that, and then Kyle Busch is somewhere in the mix. But these guys are just so far and away better than the field so far this season. I'm not sure if it's going to keep up all year. Usually we'll see another team rise to the occasion. We'll see a team fall a little bit, but as of right now, Hendrick is in the league of their own. So Chase Elliott's definitely going to be on my radar. The problem is I'm going to be probably so heavy on Kyle Larson that at $12,000, I'm probably not going to be able to afford too much Chase Elliott. So the lineups I don't have Larson, they'll probably be pretty heavy on Chase Elliott, Truex, and Denny Hamlin. You can definitely play both in the same lineup. It's just going to have to dumpster dive a little bit, but I like Chase Elliott in all formats here. Looking at his numbers this season, 750 package, he actually has a better average finish than Kyle Larson at 5.8, 3 top 5s. He had 0 laps led though, which is a bit of a problem, but guys like Truex, Hamlin, and Larson have kind of been hogging all the laps led for the most part, but he finished 3rd at Dover, 7th at Darlington. Had a bit of an issue at Atlanta where he finished 38th. Nothing you can do about that, but 5th at Phoenix, 14th on Homestead. Although beginning of the year, he kind of struggled a little bit, but like Chase Elliott in all formats. I mean, similar tracks this year, which I actually kind of forgot to pull up with Kyle Larson. But as you can see, Larson's averaging 114.6 DraftKings points per race, 2 wins, best driver rating, most laps led, most fast laps. So now that we got it out of the way, Chase Elliott still some really respectable numbers this year. Hasn't really dominated, but again, it's because Kyle Larson is pretty much taking all the laps led for the most part. Chase Elliott's usually right behind Larson, and I would not be surprised if these guys are riding right up front the majority of the race. So like Chase Elliott, but he's definitely your tournament pivot. off of Larson, pending on where these guys start. Like, let's say Chase Elliott has a really terrible qualifying run, something happens to him, he's starting in the mid-20s or 30s. I think you can make a case of wanting to play Elliott over Larson, but I'm just not sure the lap sled potential would be there. I guess we'll have to see where these guys start. Martin Truex Jr., $10,400. I'm really liking Truex this week. I'm not sure how popular it'll be because we won't know his starting position until Sunday, but if people are going to be so heavy on guys like Larson and probably another Hendrick driver like Chase Elliott or things like that, maybe he goes a little bit overlooked, but let's not forget exactly how good he's been in the 750 package this season. I know it's felt like Truex has fell off a little bit, which he certainly has. I mean, the last time he's been in a super amazing DFS play outside of Sonoma, it feels like it's been a while. Have to double check that, but that's just my feeling. But he's actually averaging the second most DraftKings points per race in this package this year. Has a better average finish than Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. The second best running position, only behind teammate Denny Hamlin. The second best drive rating. Has the most wins 3, the second most laps led, the most fast laps, and looking at his actual finishes at these similar tracks. 19th at Dover, which was surprising. Like, he just randomly sucked at Dover, which is kind of concerning for Nashville because I feel like that might be the most similar track. I believe I forget who said it, but he said Nashville's a very unique track, but Dover would be the most comparable to it. But even then, it's kind of hard to do that. But it's just at least something to base it off of. But Darlington, he dominated one Darlington. Finished 9th at Atlanta, 1st at Phoenix, which is another track I'm kind of looking at. 3rd at Homestead, so $10,400, considerably more affordable than Kyle Larson, so he's definitely on my radar. I definitely think Truex is going to be a solid play this weekend. It's going to have to be interesting to see where he starts and how he does in practice, but someone I certainly have on my radar. Denny Hamlin, $10,100. He could be one of those guys you pair with Kyle Larson. Again, it's just going to depend on where these guys start. I hate to sound like a broken record, but that is, like, if they start 1-2, I mean, probably would change my mind there, but Denny Hamlin, $10,100. He's arguably been the best driver at the 750 horsepower package this season. Best average finish, best running position, best drive rating. Doesn't have quite the wins like guys like Bowman or Truex have, but tied for the most top buys with his teammate, the most laps led, second most fast lap, finished 7th at Dover, 5th at Darlington, 4th at Atlanta, 3rd at Phoenix, and 11th at Homestead. $10,100, pretty affordable. Someone I definitely have some interest this weekend in. Then dropping down to the 9K range, Kyle Busch, $9,900. He's been very good at the 1.5s this year, but at the 750s, it's kind of been of a struggle for Kyle Busch considering his average finishes at 14.6, running position at 15th, not that great of a drive rating, only 1 top 5 and 3 top 10s, but at the 1.5s, he's definitely been a factor. I mean, 27th at Dover sucked, 3rd at Darlington though, 5th at Atlanta, 10th at Homestead, 25th at Phoenix, but things happen. Looking at overall similar tracks this season, he actually has the second most top 5s, only behind Kyle Larson. He's got a win, one of the better average finishes. This doesn't really have the dominator points, but at $9,900, we'll see how he qualifies. I don't know, last time we had the qualifying at Charlotte, he didn't qualify very well. I want to say he started 20th. And all the JGR cars didn't really qualify that well, if I remember correctly. So I definitely think Kyle Busch can be a guy that we look at like that price point. And I'd imagine he's going to be decently popular, just as long as he doesn't start like up to the very front. But even then, I feel like a lot of the guys that start close to the front will be able to hold those positions. William Byron, $9,700. Finally getting a lot of respect from DraftKings. I know he's been in the 9K range before, but he's getting close to 10K, which, I mean, would anyone really bat an eye if William Byron was close to $11,000? He's been an awesome driver this year. I know he doesn't have quite the name value as guys like Chase Elliott, Martin Truex, but the way he's been running this season, he is a force to be reckoned with. He has been so good. He's the second in average green flag speed at all the similar stuff, only behind Kyle Larson. Like, the guy's been blazing fast. He's been good at every single track he's been at, 1.5, 750, you name it. He's been good at it, really. I guess the road courses haven't exactly been the greatest to him, but even then, 5.4 average finish in this package, 7.2 running position, 3 top 5s, 5 top 10s. Hasn't been a super dominant or anything, but he can pick up fast laps. And looking at his actual finishes, 4th at Dover, 4th at Darlington, 8th at Atlanta, 8th at Phoenix, 1st at Homestead, which is another 1.5 track that has high tire wear. So if we're going to think Homestead's going to play out kind of similar to maybe Nashville a little bit, that definitely bodes well for William Byron. Similar tracks this year. He's got a win, 7 top 10s, which is the most of any driver. He's been a lap leader. He's got a fast lap guy. I see no reason not to want to play William Byron. I assume he'll be fast in practice. We'll have to see how that goes. But as long as he gets a decent starting position, I'll be interested. But no matter where he starts, he's someone you can have on your radar. It's just his price point's getting to the point where you need those extra dominator points. Maybe if he doesn't lead a ton of laps, he can still get fast laps, which we've seen all the Hendrick drivers do pretty much every single week. So I definitely like William Byron. We'll have to see where he starts, but I will be playing him no matter what. I feel like we should implement a 20% Hendrick rule where you have to at least play a 20% Hendrick car every single week, because that continue to run well. So maybe that's something we can start to implement, which is something I've kind of been gradually doing. Like, even if I don't love the plays on paper, I'll still play them because they just absolutely outperform expectations every single week. Brad Keselowski, $9,500. He'll probably only be in play for me if he qualifies bad, because so far in the 750 package this year, hasn't been exactly amazing for him. Average finish of 18.2. The running position is better at 12.1, but only one top 10 finish, 2 top 15s. Hasn't been much of a dominator. He has led laps and gotten some fast laps, but it hasn't exactly been great for him. 16th at Dover, 24th at Darlington, 20th at Atlanta, 4th at Phoenix, which is pretty good. 16th at Homestead, though. I'm just not a huge fan of Keselowski this week. The price is okay, but I think that's kind of priced there for a reason. I think I'd rather play Bowman. It could just depend where they start, but if I can get a Hendrick driver for $200 cheaper than Keselowski, I'm probably going to go with that. But anyway, speaking of Hendrick driver, Alex Bowman, $9,300. He's been good in the 750 package this season. He won at Dover, which is looking like the most comparable track to Nashville, averaging 52 DraftKings points per race, 2 wins, 2 top 5s. He's been a lap leader. He's been a fast lap guy. He finished 3rd at Atlanta. Darlington didn't go very well for him, where he finished 17th, but 9th at Homestead. 13 at Phoenix, also 1 at Richmond, which is not something I'm really looking into too much this weekend, but I guess it's at least a positive thing for Alex Bowman. He's the cheapest Hendrick driver, so you just want to play him because of that. Maybe he qualifies bad. I could definitely see myself playing quite a bit of Bowman. Kevin Harvick, $9,100. I know he's got a stigma of being bad this year, and he has been bad in terms of being a dominator, but he's getting good finishes every single week, and I think that's a testament to how good Kevin Harvick is as a driver, because all the other Stewart-Haas cars are pretty much junk for the most part. Briscoe, Cole Custer, Eric Almirola, good luck trusting those guys any single week. So Harvick, I mean, relative to what his teammates are doing, definitely makes him look a lot better. He's got 4 top 10s this season in the 750 package. He has finishes of 6th at Dover, 6th at Darlington, 10th at Atlanta, 6th at Phoenix, and 5th at Homestead. Like, these are good finishes. Like, he's been very steady this year. It's just not flashy. And I know if you guys are brand new to NASCAR from last season during COVID, when it was the only sport on, you came in with Kevin Harvick just dominating, winning every race. So I know it's kind of hard to accept that Kevin Harvick is not the same guy as last year, but that's just simply what it is. But he's getting good finishes. He's just not dominating, which you need at his price points usually. But $9,100 is not bad if he does qualify poorly. Average finish of 8.4, 2 top 5s, 6 top 10s. He has some wins here in the Xfinity Series, so I guess that's a positive for him. But he's going to mainly just be a play if he happens to qualify in a position where it makes him viable, but we'll have to see how that goes. Joey Logano, $8,900 for Team Penske. I like the price point. He's been good in the 750 package this year, which is what he did last season, so it's nice to see that it's carrying over. Kind of the opposite for Brad Keselowski, where he's been better in the 550 compared to the 750 that he was last season. But I think Logano can certainly be in play. I like the price point. Average finish of 5.8 in this package this year, which is right on par with his running position. I believe he has the 3rd best driver rating, actually a better driver rating than Kyle Larson has in this package. 3 top 5s, 4 top 10s. He's been a big lap leader. He's been a fast lap guy. He finished 5th at Dover, 13th at Darlington, 15th at Atlanta, 2nd at Phoenix, which could be a comparable track to Nashville, and 25th at Homestead. We'll just kind of not talk about that. But I think Logano can certainly be on our radars this weekend. We'll just have to see where he starts. Ryan Blaney, $8,700. I haven't really played much Blaney this season. Well, I mean, I haven't played much Blaney with it being successful this year. It worked out at Atlanta, it worked out at a couple of other tracks, but for the most part, he hasn't really been as good as he was last year. I mean, he's getting okay finishes, but nothing really too flashy here. He's had some runs up front, but he finished 12th at Dover, 8th at Darlington, won the race in Atlanta, kind of stole that from Kyle Larson at the end, kind of got help from his teammate that we just talked about, Joey Logano, 10th at Phoenix, and 20th at Homestead, which, again, we don't have to talk about that, but he's been a lap leader in this package. He's gotten some fast laps. He's got a drive rating over 100, 7.7 running position. It's a really cheap price point, so I can see myself playing Ryan Blaney. We'll see where he starts, but as leader of the Ryan Blaney fan club, I will be playing some Ryan Blaney this weekend, and he's going to be due at some point, and I think he can definitely do it here at Nashville. Tyler Reddick, $8,600. He's starting to feel a little bit expensive, but he's a guy that can run top 8, top 12 usually most weeks, and it's kind of what Ryan Blaney's doing, so it makes sense that he's kind of priced around that same price point. It's just he's in an RCR car, which isn't bad, but just compared to a Penske car, I mean, you feel like you'd just rather pony up the extra $100. We'll see where these guys start, but Tyler Reddick, he should be an interesting play. I mean, he's a guy that can be a little bit streaky, but he finished 8th at Dover, finished 12th at Darlington, some really bad finishes at Atlanta and Phoenix, but then 2nd at Homestead. I feel like he can have a top 10 run here, so I will have some interest in tournaments, but we will see where he starts. If he happens to have a really bad qualifying run, starts into like the back, yeah, he'll be a good cash game play, but we'll have to see about that. Chris Trabot, 8,400 bucks. He's been good in the 750 this year. Not quite as good in the 550, so I guess that bodes well for him this race. And we're using the short track aero package. The one thing I don't like is that he finished 21st at Dover earlier this year, 21st at Atlanta, and 20th at Homestead. Some of the more high tower tracks, so that could be a bit of a concern. 14th at Darlington, but like if he starts in the top 10, I probably won't have too much interest there. But Bell's a guy in the 20 car with JGR that you pretty much always got to have some interest in because there's always top 5 and winning upside out of him. We've seen Eric Jones win that car before. Bell won the road course race earlier this season at Daytona, so someone I think we have to have on our radars. Just gonna have to see where he starts, and I hate to keep saying that, but it's just the truth, and we don't know the qualifying order. Just makes things a little bit more difficult to talk about. Kurt Busch, 8,300 bucks, continuing this long list of 8K drivers, it feels like. So far this season has not been super impressive in the 750. 3 top 15s, which is fine, but 0 top 10s, obviously 0 top 5s, not the best driver rating out there. Average finish close to 20th. He finished 13th at Dover, which is pretty good. Then 35th at Darlington, 39th in Atlanta, but again, things happen. He's been kind of getting a bit unlucky this season, but if things go well for him, I think Kurt Busch can be a top 15 guy. So if he happens to qualify poorly, 8,300 bucks is a decent price range for him. Austin Dillon, $8,100 feels a bit expensive in my opinion, but it's actually been pretty solid this year in the 750 package. 5 top 20s, 3 top 15s, a top 10, average finish of 14.2. Finished 14th at Dover, 6th at Atlanta, 16th at Darlington, 17th at Phoenix, 12th at Homestead. Probably going to be a guy that's around that 10th to 15th place range, but if he happens to have another good practice run, we saw what he did at Charlotte for a while, was running very well, so he's going to have to be a wait-and-see guy. We'll have to see where he qualifies, which it feels like Austin Dillon usually qualifies pretty well, those Chevys usually do, so that could be a bit of a concern. If he qualifies really well, probably won't have too much interest at that price point, but kind of a wait-and-see approach there. Dropping out of the 7K range, we have MDB, 7,900 bucks. He's been a guy the past couple of seasons that typically runs pretty well at the shorter tracks, as have all the Penske cars for the most part. 24th at Dover, though, 19th at Darlington, 11th at Atlanta is pretty good, 14th at Phoenix, 20th at Homestead. If he has good place differential upside, I think we can play MDB, but that's about as far as I will go. Eric Almirola, 7,700 bucks. I mean, I'm with you guys. I hate playing Eric Almirola. He has burnt me pretty much every single time. And I was slightly underweight on him in the All-Star race, and what's he do? He goes and makes the optimal lineup, so go figure, you can't get this guy right. I was really rooting for him to not make the All-Star race. He does, then he ends up being optimal, so go figure. Eric Almirola just loves to troll us, but if he qualifies bad, I'd like to say he'd be a good PD play, but it's just so hard to trust the guy. Earlier this season, he finished, 37th at Dover, 37th at Darlington, so those were 2 races he wrecked out of. 30th at Homestead, 20th at Atlanta, 11th at Phoenix was a one bright spot for him, but it's been a very rough time for Eric Almirola this year, averaging 4.9 DraftKings points per race at similar tracks, average finish of 30.4, or 30.4 I should say, average running position of 25th, driver rating below 50, which is below guys like Cole Custer, Ryan Preece, Chase Briscoe, right on par with Anthony Alfredo and Corey LaJoie, just to show you guys how bad Eric Almirola has been this season. So be very careful for him. If he starts near the front, I probably would have 0 interest there. I just cannot trust this guy. Ross Chastain, 7,600 bucks. He is not cheap anymore, so you're definitely paying a little bit of money for him, but he's been pretty impressive this year. I think he's done pretty well in the 42 car. Obviously, he's not putting up Kyle Larson numbers, but you weren't really expecting that of Ross Chastain, but in this package this season, average finish of 16.2, 3 top 15s, 5 top 20s. He finished 15th at Dover, 15th at Darlington, 14th at Atlanta, 19th at Phoenix, 17th at Homestead. If he qualifies poorly, there could be some place differential upside because I think you're going to kind of expect him to finish around 15th place, which is fine if he happens to have a poor qualifying run. So I think there is some upside there for Ross Chastain. Chris Buescher, 7,400 bucks. He's been really good at the 1.5s this year, but he's still been solid in this package. 4 top 20s, 2 top 15s, a top 10, average finish of 16.4, which is only 0.2 behind Ross Chastain, which is of 17th at Dover, 9th at Darlington, 7th at Atlanta, 18th at Phoenix, 19th at Homestead. At similar tracks this year, actually been very, very good. 4 top 10s, 5 top 15s, 7 top 20s, which is tied for guys with like Kevin Harvick, Austin Dillon, Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson. So he's been very, very consistent this year. Average finish of 11.7, average running position of 13.4. So I definitely think there's some upside here from Chris Buescher. We'll just have to see where he starts, but price is getting a little bit up there, but he's certainly someone that could end up being viable, and he's been just very, very consistent this season if you're looking for an overall safe play. unless he happens to qualify in the top 10, then we're going to have to talk about probably getting away from Chris Buescher. Stenhouse, $7,200, kind of like Buescher. He's been overall really solid this year. He hasn't been quite as good as Buescher, but someone that's been more trustworthy this season than he has in the past. Maybe wish he was a little bit less expensive, but I still think this is a fair price point for him. The things I don't like is that he finished 20th at Dover and Darlington, which is the kind of the tracks I'm looking at a lot this week, so kind of concerning, but if he gives us a good qualifying spot, we could end up playing him. Last time we had qualifying, though, at Charlotte, I want to say he qualified second. Obviously, we couldn't play him. I mean, he was ending up being a really bad play that day anyway, so I'll have to see where he starts. I just worry about the Chevy cars because they tend to qualify pretty well. Cole Custer, $7,100. I'm not a big fan of playing Cole Custer this season. It just really hasn't worked out much at all. I'd have to look, but I'm not even sure if he's made the optimal lineup this year. Maybe one or two, but it's been a bad year for Cole Custer, so he's just a pure place differential play. We'll have to see where he starts. Going down to Eric Jones in the 6K range. $6,900 hasn't been exactly amazing in this package this year. He's got a couple of top 20s, which is fine, but he finished 22nd at Dover, 18th at Darlington, 20th at Phoenix, and Atlanta and Homestead were even worse. So unless he's starting in the very back, not the very, very back, but if he's like starting 30th, yeah, we can have some interest, but I'm not going to be super excited about playing Eric Jones here. Even at similar tracks this season, hasn't exactly been great. Does have a top 10 finish, but average finish of 20.3, running position of 21.1, pretty poor driver rating. Probably won't be a driver that I'm super heavy on, even though I do like Eric Jones most weeks. Vanilla Ice Cream Man, Ryan Newman here, $6,100. And if you're wondering why I call him that, it's because Vanilla Ice Cream, you're not upset about it usually, but it's not super exciting. Like, if you get that 15th place finish at that price point and he happens to qualify poorly, you will take it. Although lately it's felt like he's been Vanilla Ice Cream that you drop on the ground right after you buy it, because he has been screwing me pretty much each and every single week, it feels like. Like, he'll be running well, and something stupid happens to him where it just absolutely screws you. So we'll see what kind of ice cream we get this week. But at similar tracks this season, I know he hasn't exactly been the greatest at the 750 package this year, but he's finished 10th at Darlington, 13th at Atlanta. Phoenix kind of sucked for him, but 7th at Homestead. In similar tracks this year, 2 top 10s, 3 top 15s, average finish of 16.3. Plus, Ryan Newman's pretty good at conserving his tires, which is probably going to come into play pretty heavily this weekend. So Ryan Newman could be interesting once again, but I'm really hoping it's some pretty tasty soft serve ice cream this week because it's been kind of gross for me recently. Michael McDowell, $6,600, has been absolutely horrendous in this package this year. Average finish outside the top 25, 0 top 20s. Finished 25th at Dover and 27th at Darlington. He's going to have to starting pretty far back for me to have some interest in him. Bubba Wallace, I don't usually play Bubba Wallace, but he's kind of picked it up recently. And in this package, he does have 3 top 20s and team finish, so that could come into play well for him. He did finish 11th at Dover, which is, I guess, pretty important to me. 21st at Darlington. The other tracks weren't exactly great, and he hasn't really been this good this season, but he's kind of in that 5th JGR car. I think there's a little bit of upside from Bubba, but he's going to have to be a place differential play for me. If he's starting inside the top 15, I don't think there's any way I'd be playing Bubba besides trying to get different within the 6K price range. Dropping down Daniel Suarez, $6,300. Fun fact, Daniel Suarez has actually been the most optimal driver this year. And I personally think it's because DraftKings keeps pricing him way too low. He's pretty much the 3rd RCR car, and his teammates, they're $8,100 and $8,600. Like, I wouldn't even be super surprised if they ended up pricing Daniel Suarez close to that 8K range, kind of where Eric Almirola MDB are at some point, because he's definitely been running better than that, than what he's priced at this season. So I just feel like he's too cheap once again. If he qualifies around 20th place, I think you can play him. Even if he qualifies around 15th to 20th, I think you can play him. But if he's like in the mid-20s to the end, it's like to the back end of the 20s, he'll probably end up being very, very chalky. He also finished 9th at Dover, which I think people are going to like as well. So I could definitely get on board with Daniel Suarez. Just seems way too cheap in my opinion once again. And wouldn't surprise me if he ends up making another optimal lineup. And at similar tracks this year, 4 top 15s, a top 10, average finish of 16.6, which is a lot better than a lot of these guys priced in this range. So I definitely like Daniel Suarez once again, as long as he's not starting inside the top 10 or anything. Chase Briscoe, $6,200. He was one of the guys that did a test for them, so at least he has some extra track time. I'm not sure how important that'll be, but I guess any added track time at a new track that nobody else has track time at is going to be helpful. Dover didn't go well for him where he finished 35th, but he did finish 11th at Darlington, and he's kind of picked it up recently. He's dirt cheap. If he gives us a good starting spot, I think we could end up playing some Chase Briscoe. Then pretty much after Chase Briscoe, the only way you can play these guys is if they offer you some good place differential. So Ryan Preece, I think he'd certainly be in play as long as we get some good PD upside out of him. He did finish 18th at Dover. Other than that, his numbers aren't super impressive this season, but he could be a nice PD play. Anthony Alfredo, Pasta Man. Ugh, hate trusting the guy, but if he gives us a good starting spot, he is pretty cheap. Corey LaJoie, same could be set for him. And he's actually been running pretty well recently. Beginning of the year, terrible. Recent stretch for him has actually gone pretty well. So if you're trying to ride a bit of a hot hand there, Corey LaJoie could make some sense. Yaley. After Corey LaJoie, the only guy you could kind of halfway trust is Justin Haley, but in this package, it's been awful for him this year. But the only way these guys are playable is if they're starting to the very back, which I assume they will be. But even then, you're going to have to be very careful with rostering them. If you want to play Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott, probably have to venture down to that range, but it's just going to depend on where they start. But I would, if you're playing 150 laps, I'd probably max them out at like 3 to 5% because they typically do not make optimal lineups. But with that being said, guys, I think that's going to be it for the video. So if you made it all the way through, I really do appreciate that. And let me know down in the comments. A like on the video if you did find this useful, entertaining, whatever. Leave a comment down below if you want to join the DraftKings contest that I host each and every single week. Follow me over on social media if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you're a freaking visitor, if you're just brand new, now's the time to do that. Because I think like nearly half of the people that watch these videos have not yet done that. So why not help me out there? And if you want to join the community, link is down below for that. Projections, all the tools you want, articles, they'll be there throughout the weekend. So that's pretty much going to be it, guys. Hope you guys enjoy the triple header this weekend. If you're guys watching this on Friday night, we have Trucks tonight, Xfinity tomorrow, then we have Cup on Sunday. So a pretty action-packed weekend for motorsports. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you in the next time, which will be on Sunday at 11 a.m. for the live stream during qualifying.